A plan to make it compulsory for private doctors to upload patient information to the e-health system. PolyU's blueprint for the setting up of a new medical school. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. The government is planning to make it compulsory for health service providers, including private doctors, to upload important patient information to the e-health system. Those who fail to do so could face prosecution. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Launched in 2016, eHealth is an electronic platform for public and private health providers to check their patients' medical records after obtaining the patient's consent. By the end of February, more than 3,700 health organizations and 58,700 health workers have registered to use the system. The Health Bureau said while those working in the private healthcare sector make up some 60% of individuals who read records on the platform, very few of them actually upload any data. This, as 99% of the information on the platform originate from the public healthcare sector. The government suggested amending the law to make it mandatory for healthcare providers to upload patients' records, including diagnoses and subscriptions. Failure to upload the record could result in a fixed penalty fine of $1,500. Those who fail to do so after the initial fine could face prosecution and are liable to a maximum fine of $50,000. Authorities also suggested an expansion of the categories of health workers allowed to see the records to include speech therapists, audiologists, and dietitians, in addition to the 13 existing categories such as registered doctors and dentists. Meanwhile, lawmaker David Lam from the Medical and Health Services constituency pointed out that some doctors may refuse to see a patient who does not let the doctor see his earlier records, even though the doctor has to upload the new records after the consulting session. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The Hong Kong Medical Association expressed worries that mandating private doctors to upload patient information to the e-health platform would heap extra burden on doctors' already hefty workload. The group hopes the details and timetable for the implementation can be hammered out as soon as possible, so the sector could be better prepared. In a bid to provide more comprehensive electronic medical records and streamline healthcare services, the government is planning to mandate private doctors to upload patients' health data to the e-health platform. This man says some patients might wish to keep their personal health records private, and the professional conduct of medical practitioners to respect that is important. This woman said the one-stop platform allows more efficient diagnosis and prescription of medication. Healthcare providers need to upload key health data such as vaccine records and prescription history. Authorities said they are mulling whether to require further retrieval of people's records. Dr. Cheng Chi-man, the president of the Hong Kong Medical Association, is worried private doctors will need to spend a lot of time inputting data instead of seeing patients. He said the impact will be felt more during peak flu season. Sources say some private medical groups are reluctant to share medical records, which are regarded as their assets. The government has earlier announced a new medical school will be established in the city. 3 local universities contending to run the city's third medical training base have submitted their bids to the government. Among them is the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, which sets sights on tapping artificial intelligence to drive its teaching and learning of medical students. The management of the Hong Kong Polytechnic University unveiled their proposed blueprint for setting up the city's third medical school in the northern metropolis, with hopes to engage top mainland medical institutions for students' clinical training. Their program, to be AI-powered and student-centered, aims to nurture students' capability to undertake both scientific research and interdisciplinary collaboration.
AI has major implications. We will transform education. We will make full use of AI. So students will be able to pursue their studies more independently. This will become a more active way of learning, leading to better graduates.
PolyU also proposed to set up Hong Kong's third medical school expert advisory committee comprising 21 members. They include Zhong Nanshan, a member of the Chinese Academy of Engineering, former Secretary for Health, Welfare and Food York Chow, Director of the National Medical Center for Infectious Disease Zhang Wenhong, and 2005 Nobel laureate in Physiology or Medicine Barry Marshall. When asked if the government's university funding cuts would hamstring poly-youth development plans.
Government invest Hong Kong, and we also like to invest Hong Kong. This is also our duty and as our missions. But regarding the detailed figure, we will let everybody know once it's ready.
In addition to the Polytechnic University, the Baptist University and the University of Science and Technology have also submitted proposals to build a third medical school. The government task group will interview these universities around the second quarter of this year, with the evaluation process expected to be completed within this year. After that, the task group will submit its final recommendation to the government. Ocean Park's cable car services have been suspended due to signal issues. The theme park also announced that its upper park, the Summit, will be temporarily closed until further notice. That's because the Ocean Express, the train ride to the Summit, is also out of service while undergoing its annual inspection. So only facilities near the waterfront are now open to the public. Ocean Park said it is performing checks on the cable car system, adding that the service has been suspended for safety reasons. Germany's likely next Chancellor Friedrich Merz has won a vote in parliament which will see the government increase spending on defense. Merz passing the major test comfortably, securing the two-thirds majority needed. The new plans change government debt rules, exempting defense and security budgets. It helps smooth the way for Merz's center-right bloc to take power. The upper house still needs to pass the bill. Houthi media in Yemen reported early today that the U.S. had launched at least 10 airstrikes on various areas, including Sada province and Hodeidah. This came a day after the Israeli military said it had intercepted a projectile launch from Yemen after Israel resumed airstrikes against targets in Gaza. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu defended the resumption of airstrikes in Gaza, saying that negotiations on restoring a ceasefire there could continue only under fire. Tracy Furness has more.
Fighter jets taking off from the aircraft carrier USS Harry S. Truman in the Red Sea, targeting Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. This as the Houthis claim to have launched 3 separate rounds of attacks targeting the vessel. The US airstrikes hit this iron factory in Hodeidah and caused this large crater in the ground. The strikes come after the Houthis said last week they were resuming attacks on shipping in the Red Sea to show their support for Palestinians in Gaza and as part of US President Donald Trump's wider campaign to target the Houthis' main benefactor, Iran. Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi issued a warning to the Americans that their continued aggression against Yemen in support of Israel will escalate the situation. In Gaza, flares were seen over the skyline late Tuesday evening. This after Israel launched airstrikes on Gaza Monday that killed at least 400 Palestinians. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said that was only the beginning, adding that all ceasefire negotiations will take place under fire. Jabalia was one of the Gazan towns hit by the Israeli airstrikes, which turned neighborhoods into rubble. These people digging through the debris looking for victims. This resident said, "The hole is 10 meters deep here. We were terrified. Our houses were destroyed and 10 of my cousins were martyred." Many Palestinians were fleeing their homes after the Israeli military ordered people to evacuate different areas of the Gaza Strip and head towards the center of the territory. The surprise attack by the Israeli military had shattered a period of relative calm during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. It has raised the prospect of a full return to fighting in a 17-month war that has killed tens of thousands of Palestinians and caused widespread destruction across Gaza. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
And still ahead, Trump releases John F. Kennedy assassination documents. And locally, a memorial service for HKUST's founding president, Wu Chia-wei. Welcome back. U.S. President Donald Trump has released previously classified documents related to the 1963 assassination of former President John F. Kennedy. This in a bid to honor his campaign promise to provide more transparency about the shock event that spawned countless conspiracy theories. Danny Rao tells us more.
More than 1,100 files consisting of over 31,000 pages of material related to the assassination of former U.S. President John F. Kennedy have now been posted on the website of the U.S. National Archives and Records Administration. In the early 1990s, the U.S. federal government mandated all assassination-related documents be housed in a single collection in the National Archives and Records Administration. The collection was required to be opened by 2017, barring any exemptions designated by the president. Before authorizing the latest release, U.S. President Donald Trump, who took office for his first term in 2017, had said he would allow the release of all of the remaining records. However, he ended up holding some back because of what he called the potential harm to national security. Interest in details related to Kennedy's assassination has been intense over the decades, spawning countless conspiracy theories. He was killed on November 22, 1963, on a visit to Dallas, Texas, when his motorcade was finishing its parade route downtown and shots rang out from the Texas School Book Depository building. The police arrested 24-year-old Lee Harvey Oswald, who had positioned himself from a sniper's perch on the 6th floor. 2 days later, nightclub owner Jack Ruby fatally shot Oswald during a jail transfer. A year after the assassination, the Warren Commission, which then U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson established to investigate, concluded Oswald acted alone and that there was no evidence of a conspiracy. However, that didn't quell a web of alternative theories over the decades. Oswald was a former Marine who defected to the Soviet Union before returning home to Texas. Files in the new release include a memo from the CIA St. Petersburg station from November 1991. It said that month a CIA official befriended a U.S. professor there, who told the official about a friend who worked for the KGB. The memo said the KGB official had reviewed 5 thick volumes of files on Oswald and was confident Oswald was at no time an agent controlled by the KGB. The memo added the KGB official doubted anyone could control Oswald. Still, it described him as being a poor shot when he tried target firing in the Soviet Union. Dan Oral, TV News.
Back locally, a total of 66 taxi drivers have incurred demerit points since the implementation of the taxi driver offense point system half a year ago. So far, none of them have reached a 15-point threshold for having their taxi licenses revoked. The 66 offenders were involved in malpractices such as overcharging and refusal of services. More than 70% of these drivers have received 10 points. Meanwhile, the first taxi fleet operating under the government's taxi fleet license scheme is set to enter service at the end of this month. The Legislative Council passed the Protection of Critical Infrastructure's Computer Systems Bill in its third reading. The bill mandates operators to conduct regular risk assessments and report safety incidents to the government. The legislation will cover 8 categories of critical infrastructure, including energy, information technology, and banking services. It also encompasses facilities essential for social and economic activities, including major sports venues and technology parks. Operators will also have to set up departments to manage its cybersecurity issues and report relevant incidents within designated timeframes. Offenders can face criminal liability and a fine of up to $5 million. The government is set to unveil more details about the regulatory framework of basic house units at the end of this month. Basic housing units are intended to replace subdivided flats to provide better living conditions. The government is set to submit their detailed plan for basic housing units in late March for lawmaker scrutiny. Owners of these units will have to pay for registration as pre-existing subdivided flats and certification of the standards of these units. The one-time registration fees reportedly are set at around $1,000 to $3,000. Sources say the earlier owners register or certify their flats, the lower the price will be, with the possibility to see the fees waived as well. The basic housing units should meet conditions including having an area of not less than 8 square meters, an individual toilet, and at least 1 window. The Hong Kong University of Science and Technology held a memorial service for its founding president, Professor Wu Chia-wei, who passed away earlier this month. Current HKUST President Nancy Yip praised Wu and hailed her predecessor for laying the foundations of the university's world-class status.
Professor Wu envisioned a world-class research university that would ignite intellectual growth, drive innovation, and elevate Hong Kong's standing on the global stage. Anyone would have thought this to be an impossible task, but Professor Wu was undeterred.
Wu passed away on March the 2nd in San Francisco at the age of 87. He served as HKUST's first president when the university was founded in 1991 until 2001. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.